Hello, my name is James Cunningham, founder and CEO of Cunningham Financial Group. And the question that I would like to ask in this presentation is, who is it that's helping you with your financial puzzle? Earl Nightingale said that for most people, financial success remains a puzzle. And for most people, their financial plan developed like this. When they were younger, they bought their first life insurance policy, probably in their early 20s. And you probably bought it from someone that you knew, like your brother-in-law's cousin. But your brother-in-law's cousin didn't like the insurance business and is eventually replaced by this person. And he doesn't know you or your situation, and is only interested in keeping the policy in force. And this person didn't like the insurance business either. And eventually this agent is replaced by a nameless, faceless person. And then someone comes along and sells you a mutual fund or a stock or a bond. This person maybe sells you a piece of real estate. Another one puts you in some type of legal document. Someone else does your taxes for you. And as your life goes by, maybe you attend a seminar or a workshop from someone like this. But eventually, someone gives you some information on something like a qualified plan, a 401k. Things get so hectic and confusing that after a while you decide to hire some type of consultant. And after a period of time, a lot of people that we've dealt with become these nameless, faceless people. They're unfamiliar with our circumstances and they don't really know anything about us. They have tunnel vision and they're only interested in their particular area of expertise. So what most people end up with over a period of time is disjointed pieces that don't really fit together. And what we want to do is to come in and look at your pieces. We want to then help you create a master plan and then show you how your pieces ought to fit together. So our question is, who is helping you with your financial puzzle? And why is it that the pieces really don't fit? And I could also ask the question, when do they get together and discuss your total situation for you so that you don't end up guessing and paying the price for their miscommunication during your retirement? It was really questions like this that have guided me my entire career. I've worked with senior clients and business owners for over a decade. And the senior generation is our parents' generation, and here's what I found. And as I do this, let me introduce to you my parents. This is my mother and father, Harold and Frances Cunningham. This is them on their wedding day, June 29th of 1950. And as a business and financial consultant, working with my parents and their generation, what I found is that they really had similar goals. As they started to have their families, they wanted to provide for their family. They wanted to pay off their debts. Primarily, it was just their mortgage. And they did this by accelerating their mortgage payments. And of course, they wanted to save for retirement, and they generally did this by max funding retirement plans. And they did this because what they were truly looking for was financial security. Well, my parents' generation are now well into their retirement years. And while they really had similar goals, that generation also had similar problems. I've seen the effective years of them following the accepted methods of accumulating assets and, of course, the problems that they cause. And then having them try to solve these problems at retirement and realizing that it's really too late or the things that they got to do are not very effective. And when shown these problems, they said to me, James, where were you 20 years ago when we really could have done something about this? And many of these retired seniors sent me to talk to their children. And that's me sitting on my father's lap. And now my generation is all grown up with families and careers of our own. And this is the new generation that's in their accumulating assets phases of their lives, trying to build and put their financial world together, really trying to put their financial puzzle together. And what I found is that our generation is doing the same things, making the same mistakes that our parents did. So let's take a look at what our parents actually did. First, they lived in the same house probably their entire life. Is this what the baby boomers are doing right now? Of course it isn't. The vast majority of them only had one job. And again, is this what we see the baby boomer generation doing? They lived on one income. Yet today, over 56% of the households have two incomes, generally with mom and dad working outside the home. Most of them retired with a pension, but today pensions are disappearing or don't even exist. They really had no credit card debt, and that isn't consistent with today's market. And they saved their money consistently. And of course, this generation could really count on Social Security. And here's what our parents told us. They said, go to college, get a good job, buy a house, pay it off as quickly as possible, and save your money consistently. But the reality is, the baby boomer generation is living in totally different times and in totally different circumstances. But they're trying to do the same things, making the same mistakes that their parents were making when they were trying to put their puzzle together. And what my message is to them and to you is, instead of following the accepted or the conventional methods, I want you to change your financial thought process. Have you ever said this to yourself? If I knew then what I know now, boy, I'd do things a lot differently. Well, let's begin by taking a look at a couple of the big pieces of this puzzle, and let's first talk about taxes. To review, I want to talk about this and relate this to the perfect storm, or I'm going to say the perfect demographic storm. We are all going through some of the greatest demographic changes in history. The largest part will occur over the next 30 years and will be intensified by the baby boomer generation, and this includes the entire industrialized world. We think that this will be the most important planning issue in your financial future. However, it's completely ignored by most conventional financial planning. Conventional planning is saying it's okay that each generation keeps doing exactly the same things and following those exact same methods. But in a nutshell, here's what's happening. In 1900, over 4% of the population was over the age of 65. In the year 2000, 12.4% of the population is over the age of 65. This is a 300% increase. We are simply living longer, and we're going to continue to live longer and longer. 2/3 of all the men and women who have ever lived in the past are alive in the world today. We are simply living longer. So let's also look at this. In 1900, 12.1% of the population was under the age of 5. In 2000, 6.8% of the population is under the age of 5. This is a 44% decrease in birth rate, and today the average American has more parents than children. Again, looking at the 1900 population model, 12% under the age of 5 and 4% over the age of 65. So do you see that this model is a pyramid? And quite frankly, it's the model for all prior recorded history. The life expectancy in the 1900s was 47 years and the median age was 22.9. This meant many workers, but very few people were actually retired. Fast forward 100 years now, and let's look at the 2000 population model. 6% of the population is under the age of 5, and over 12% of the population is over the age of 65. And again, this is going to be compounded by the baby boom generation. So here comes the storm. The perfect demographic storm. There are going to be significantly fewer workers and a lot more people retired as time goes on. So the population models are turned totally upside down. All the forces of this storm to enlarge the elderly and the retired population are in overdrive, and all the forces to enlarge the younger and the working producing population are in total reverse. The result, the perfect demographic storm. Now these factors can and are going to lead to higher tax rates in the future. Inflation, of course, is going to get more expensive each year. It's going to get more and more expensive. And of course, company benefits, if they exist, are going to continually get cut. For the unprepared, they are going to pay more, work longer, and get a lot less for their money.